When a customer mistreats an employee, what happens next will leave you stunned. Before we dive into this story, tell us where you're watching from. And if you love stories like this, hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow we've got another special one coming your way. In the everyday hustle of a busy local market, John, a young worker with Down syndrome, was doing his best to stay composed on his very first day at work. But that fragile peace shattered when an irate customer started berating him with cruel words. The worst part? Everyone around simply stood by, watching in silence, unwilling to step in. What no one realized, though, was that among the shoppers stood a famous Hollywood actor, quietly observing the scene. And what he did next, it left every single person speechless. John, a 21-year-old with Down syndrome, was widely known for his kindness and dedication. Despite his infectious energy, he carried internal battles that few could see. His past, marred by a cold and abusive stepfather, had deeply wounded his self-esteem. Brief flashbacks painted a painful picture. John as a child, sitting at the kitchen table while his stepfather's harsh words rained down on him. "You'll never amount to anything, boy. Don't even try." The cruel tone, the demeaning words, they still echoed in his mind as if they had been said just yesterday. But John was resilient. He had made a promise to himself. No words would ever define his worth. And today, that perseverance was his greatest strength. The local market was small but bustling. Shelves were stacked neatly with products, and the rhythmic sound of carts rolling across the polished floor filled the air. Stepping through the main entrance, John proudly adjusted his uniform. His manager, Jack, greeted him with a warm, reassuring smile. "Welcome to the team, John. We're happy to have you with us." John eagerly shook his hand. "Thank you, sir. I'll do my best." Training began immediately. He was introduced to his tasks, organizing products, bagging groceries, listening intently, absorbing every little detail. His enthusiasm didn't go unnoticed by his colleagues, but neither did their subtle glances and hushed comments. "He's a bit slow, isn't he?" one coworker whispered, not realizing John could hear every word. Pretending not to notice, John stayed focused. He was determined to prove himself. By the time his shift ended, he was exhausted but proud. He had made it through his first day. Just as John finished bagging a customer's groceries, a loud sigh cut through the checkout line. He glanced at the clock. His shift was almost over. A relief washed over him. But he failed to notice the growing impatience of one particular customer watching him from the line. A pair of narrowed eyes locked onto his every movement. Then, the automatic doors slid open, signaling the arrival of someone who would change everything. Karen, a 45-year-old woman with a rigid posture and an air of superiority, strode in. The sharp sound of her heels clicking against the tile filled the market. Even before she assessed the situation, her face was already twisted in disapproval. Stopping abruptly at the checkout lines, she let out a loud, exaggerated sigh. "These stores never know how to get things organized," she muttered, making sure everyone around could hear her frustration. Grabbing a cart, she maneuvered through the aisles as though she were in some kind of race, tossing items carelessly inside. Any obstacle, whether it was a child in her path or a customer comparing prices, was met with impatient glares and audible scoffs. Once her cart was full, she headed straight for the checkout. The line wasn't particularly long, but for someone with zero patience, it might as well have been endless. Her eyes locked onto John as he carefully bagged a previous customer's items. Watching his methodical movements, she scoffed. "Is this for real?" she muttered, rolling her eyes. "How can someone this slow be working here?" When it was finally her turn, Karen slammed her groceries onto the counter, shoving them forward aggressively. John greeted her politely, offering a shy smile. "Good morning, ma'am." She responded with an icy glare and a sarcastic tone. "I hope it's good, because I don't have all day." John began scanning her items, taking care to double-check the codes and bag them neatly. But her piercing stare felt like it was burning right through him. Every small movement he made was met with an impatient sigh or the rhythmic tapping of her fingers against the counter. "Is this going to take forever?" she snapped, leaning in. "Because, honestly, Watching this feels like slow-motion torture. John's face flushed red. His hands began trembling. He tried to speed up, but his nervousness only made things worse. A package slipped from his grip, hitting the floor with a soft thud. Karen immediately seized the moment. "Oh my God! He can't even hold a bag," she blurted out, turning to the other customers as if expecting them to join in her ridicule. John bit his lip, trying to push through, but his breathing grew heavier. His eyes welled up. Karen, sensing his distress, took a step closer, arms crossed tightly. "Someone needs to do something about this," she barked. "This is ridiculous. I don't have time to deal with incompetence." The other customers murmured, some exchanging uneasy glances. Karen, now emboldened, pointed straight at John. "This is unacceptable. He shouldn't be working here if he can't even bag groceries properly," she declared. "Who hired you?" "Out of pity." John froze. The words hit him like daggers. He glanced around the store, desperate for support, but saw only passive, hesitant faces. Then, a voice cut through the tension. "That's enough." The firm yet calm words made everyone turn. A tall man stepped forward, his confident posture commanding attention. His steady gaze was fixed on Karen. "Who is that?" someone whispered. Customers craned their necks to get a better look. Then someone gasped. "Wait, is that Clint Eastwood?" Karen's smirk faltered. Clint walked toward the scene, his steps deliberate and unwavering. His eyes, though calm, held undeniable authority. Karen crossed her arms, trying to mask her unease. "And who do you think you are?" she scoffed. "You think you can just show up and tell me what to do?" Clint didn't flinch. "I'm not here to tell you what to do," he said smoothly. "I'm here to tell you that what you're doing, it's wrong." Karen blinked. "Wrong? I'm just stating the facts. This boy is too slow." Clint gave a small, knowing smile. "There's a difference between stating facts and using them as a weapon." The murmur in the crowd shifted, this time against Karen. Turning to John, Clint's expression softened. "John, you're doing great. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." A lump formed in John's throat. The energy in the market had changed. What had begun as a moment of cruelty had transformed into one of unity. And Karen? She stormed out, her heels clicking furiously against the tiles, while behind her, customers erupted into applause. For the first time in a long time, John felt like he mattered.